So recently my company has gone through an acquisition. And because of that, I ended up losing my 401k for a little bit. They had to stop letting us contribute to our 401ks for a little while. So in that time, it meant that I didn't have a 401k. I kind of came to realize, like, I've actually been really privileged in my career that I've almost always had an option to contribute to my 401k. I've almost always had a 401k to contribute to, I should say. And it got me thinking, like, what should I do with my retirement contributions during this time when I don't have a 401k. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to go over some of the options that I discovered when I was kind of digging through this wormhole. And I think these options will apply to you if you don't have a 401k at all for whatever reason. And hopefully you can walk away with some advice about how to continue saving for your retirement, even if you don't have a 401k. I'm Melissa Ford. Welcome to Damsel of Success, where we talk about all things money. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified when I post a new video every single Wednesday. So first things first, a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm not a licensed financial planner. I'm not a fiduciary. All of this has just been on my own research, and hopefully it will help you. But I always recommend that you in addition to watching my video, you seek out some other information and make sure that what I'm telling you is correct. I have done everything I can to make sure that it is correct, but investment is inherently risky, and you got to have as much knowledge as you possibly can whenever you're making investment decisions. So before we dig in too deeply on the options that are available to you if you don't have a 401k, I want to make sure that we're all speaking the same language. So I'm going to go over some investment terminology here to make sure that what I'm saying makes sense to you. The first thing that I want to talk to you about is allocations versus accounts. So your 401k is an account, whereas what you choose to invest in from your 401k would be an allocation. So the best way to think about this is like a shopping cart. That shopping cart is the holder of your investments, and the shopping cart is an account in this scenario. And everything that you put into that shopping cart is an allocation. So an example of an account would be your 401k, and an example of an allocation would be something like stocks, bonds, cash, mutual funds, real estate investment trusts or REITs, index funds, mutual funds. All of those things would be considered an allocation. And what we're going to be talking about today is only that shopping basket, only the accounts that you can use to contribute to. We're not really going to be going into how you should allocate your money once it's in that account. We're just talking about the kind of account that you can use. Next up, I want to talk to you about 3 different basic categories of investment accounts. So the 3 categories are tax-free, tax-deferred, and taxable. In a tax-free account, you pay taxes now off of the salary that you make. You pay your regular employment taxes, but when you go to withdraw that money in retirement, that money is available to you tax-free, and that includes not just what you've contributed, but the growth that's happened in your account over time, completely tax-free. So this is like the number one type of account I'd suggest that you invest in. And an example of a tax-free account would be a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k. Next up is the tax deferred. So that means that these kinds of contributions, the contributions that you make into your account, are not taxed. So like when you look at your paycheck, for instance, and if you were to be contributing to a 401k, that amount that you contribute to your 401k would not be taxed. However, when you go to withdraw the money and any gains you've made on the money over time, then that's when taxes would apply. So it's a tax advantaged account. It's still a good deal for you. It's not quite as great of a tax benefit as the tax-free accounts, but it's still really great to contribute to. And an example of this would be 401k or a traditional IRA. The third kind of account is a taxable account. This is our last tier of accounts that we want to contribute to, because not only are the contributions that you make into the account taxed, you get your payroll taxes taken off of the top before you can contribute to these accounts, but any contributions that you've made and any growth that's happened over time in that account is also taxable when you retire, when you withdraw the money from that account. And this type of account is typically just a regular brokerage account. Next up, I want to talk to you about contribution limits. This applies to the tax-free and tax-deferred accounts. Because the IRS is granting you this specific, tax benefit, they limit the amount that you can contribute to these kinds of accounts. So as of 2020, the limit for most tax-deferred accounts is $19,500 plus $5,000 in catch-up contributions if you're age 50 plus. For tax deferred accounts, those really great accounts that are our first priority to contribute to, the contribution limit is even smaller. So as of 2020, that limit is $6,500 per year if you're 49 or younger, and $7,000 if you're 50 and above. One other thing that I want to mention is that if you're not totally sure about what you should be contributing to your 401k, or if you have enough to retire on. I have a video that I did previously about that, which I will link, I think, up here or in the description below at the very least. And I also have a tool, which I will also link in the description below, that kind of helps you figure out how much you should be saving towards your retirement. It's a retirement calculator. It's totally free. It's on my website, so you can check it out anytime. So tell me why you're watching this video. Are you at a company that doesn't offer a 401k, or are you self-employed, or maybe some other circumstance? I'd love to hear. Leave it in the comments below and share your story. And if you're reading somebody else's story, be sure to leave them a comment as well to show them your support. So now that we've kind of covered some basic terminology, now it's time to talk about some of the options that you have. In my mind, at least for me in my situation, these were the best options that I could do to contribute to my retirement while I didn't have 401k as an option. Option number one is to contribute to your Roth IRA. Now, the Roth IRA is one of those tax-free accounts that is our highest priority to contribute to. You're eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA if you make less than $124,000 per year, and if you're younger than age 70 and a half. Some other things to know about the Roth IRA is, like I said before, this is a tax-free account, which means that when you retire, when you reach retirement age and you can withdraw benefits from this account, you are not taxed on any growth that has taken place between now and when you retire. Another thing to know is that you can withdraw your contributions at any time. You can't draw the growth on those contributions at any time, but if you were to, say, have some sort of an emergency that required you to have more cash on hand, you could sell the investments that you've made up to the amount that you have contributed to the account. So for instance, if you have contributed for 1 year and it's 2020 and you've contributed the full amount of $6,500, and for whatever reason that amount has grown over time to $7,000, let's say, you would be eligible to withdraw $6,500 from that account without any penalty at all. And that's very different than the tax-deferred accounts like the 401k. So if you saved a certain minimum amount in your emergency savings account and you'd like to contribute to a retirement account, but you're also wanting to kind of buffer that emergency savings to be a little bit larger just in case, this is a really great option. You have to keep in mind it is at risk. So if your investments were to go down, then you would not be able to withdraw the full amount that you contributed. That's always a risk. So keep that in mind. But like I said, in my mind, at least, it makes sense that if you've got at least 1 to 3 months of your emergency savings that is in cash in your accounts, and you'd like to increase that emergency savings to 3 months plus of cash on hand, a good place to put that is your Roth IRA, because you can always withdraw up to what you've contributed from that account without any penalty whatsoever. So for all of those reasons, I highly, highly, highly recommend that regardless of whether you have a 401k or not, you're taking advantage of the ability to contribute to your Roth IRA and you max it out, if at all possible, every single year. If you're already maximizing your contributions to your Roth IRA, then this next investment option is a super great option if you can do it. Not everybody is eligible to contribute to this kind of an account, but if you can, oh my goodness, please do it. So option number 2 is to create a solo 401k. The catch here is that you're only eligible to contribute to a solo 401k if you have money coming in through a side business that you own. And that business must be a legal entity. Another thing to know is that if you have multiple sources of income, such as a day job and a side business, the only amount that you're allowed to contribute to your solo 401k would be that income that you make through your side business. So anything that you make through another company is not eligible as contribution. The great things about a solo 401k are that number one, it's like any other 401k in that the contributions that you make are done pre-tax. So this would be a tax deferred account. So not only are the employee contributions made pre-tax, but the employer contributions are 100% tax-free as well. And in this case, you are both the employer and the employee. So that means that the contribution limit of that $19,500 is actually much higher because you can contribute from the employer side and the employee side, which is amazing if you're trying to maximize the amount of money you can deposit into a tax-deferred account. One other thing to be aware of about these accounts is that if you're not the only employee in your business, if you have anyone else that's working for you, then any 401k contribution that you make on your own behalf has to be equal to the 401k contribution you make to your employees. And I believe that is done on a percentage basis. So if you were, for instance, to contribute 5% of a employer match to your own account and you had another employee, you would also be legally required to contribute 5% of a match to their account as well. But like I said, this is a super great option just because it allows you to contribute even more than you could have if you were in working for another employer and contributing to their 401k. This next option only applies if you're in a situation like I am where the 401k contribution that you usually make is temporarily suspended. So let's say you're in between jobs or you're going through this unique situation like I am where your company is being acquired by another company. And that option is to save your money and wait. In this case, what you would do, and this is actually what I ended up deciding to do with my 401k contributions, is that you would take the money that you're used to contributing to your 401k and set it aside in a savings account. Then when your 401k option becomes available to you again, you live off of the money that you have saved and set aside and amp up your contribution to your 401k. So you would increase the percentage that you usually do to make up for that time that you didn't have a 401k contribution option. And like I said, once you up that contribution percentage to make up for lost time, you would live off of or supplement your income with the amount in savings that you had set aside. This would be a good option for you if you're already contributing the maximum amount to your Roth IRA or Roth 401k. And if this is a temporary solution, so you know you're going to have a 401k that's coming back at some point. But the downside of this is that you're losing out a little bit on the contributions that you would make. So for instance, right now in 2020, we have seen the first market decline in quite a while. So this is a really good time to be investing in your retirement plans because it's like buying stocks at a discount. Saving and waiting means that you're probably missing out on a little bit of opportunity. So that's kind of the downside to this option. And that brings us to our fourth and final option, at least in the ones I've explored for myself. So option number 4 is to open a taxable brokerage account. This option is open to anyone because it's a taxable account, meaning that you don't get to defer your taxes, like you don't get to take it out before your payroll taxes hit. and it's considered fully taxable once you retire or whenever you withdraw it, because with a traditional brokerage account, you can withdraw at any time. So any gains that you make in a traditional brokerage account are taxable in the year in which they're realized. So that means if you withdraw the money that has grown in that account, then you will have to pay taxes on it when you withdraw that money. Or if you were paid a dividend on any investments that you've made, that dividend would also be taxable when you receive it. So that's something that you would need to absolutely account for on your tax return. Everyone's tax situation is a little bit different. So if you're looking at creating a traditional brokerage account, you want to make sure that you're following any tax guidelines that apply to you, which, like I said, are very different based on who you are and what you make. This is a really decent option. However, like I said before, it's also the last option on this list because of the taxable nature of the account. But it does, the plus side of it is that it does allow you to participate in the market. So hopefully this, little overview of kind of the wormhole that I went down to figure out what to do with my retirement investments during the lapse of my 401k will help you to see the options that are available to you if you don't have a 401k. Just keep in mind that the overall goal is to keep contributing to your retirement. So just keep doing your best and hopefully you'll be able to reach your retirement goals. If you're looking to get a little bit of clarity about your 401k goals, I have a tool that can help. I will link it down below. It's a retirement calculator, which lets you kind of put in all the factors that are important to you. Everybody's retirement situation is different. So feel free to download that. It's completely free. I'll put the link, like I said, in the description below so you can check that out. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. I am pretty new to YouTube here and the algorithms absolutely love it when you hit the like button. And if you loved this video, please subscribe. I am committed to giving you a new video every Wednesday about how you can better reach your financial goals. So hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified when I post a new video every single Wednesday. That's all for now. So thanks so much for watching and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.